Norma Wallace died tragically in 1974. She was the owner and madam of a brothel in the French Quarter of Louisiana, New Orleans, for over 40 years, from the early 1920s through the 1960s. Norma rose from rags to riches, making over $100,000 a year as a woman-owned business in the early 1920s. She never took the last name of any of her 5 husbands, her last husband being 39 years younger than her. Norma entertained a stream of governors, mobsters, movie stars throughout her reign. And she created a space for herself and other women when women had few rights and even fewer options. You see, Norma protected her women because she was once in their shoes. I am making a documentary about Norma Wallace and how my life became intricately interwoven with hers. My name is Janelle Faiman, and this is a story about finding my own self-empowerment as a woman living in a patriarchy through the walls of a brothel, a place where women have been historically shamed, persecuted, prosecuted, and jailed. Norma was so influential that there was a book written about her life. It's called The Last Madam. And before her death by suicide in 1974, she recorded her life story on audio cassette tape. Those tapes made up the basis of the book, The Last Madam. Those tapes will also be in my documentary, and I'm also creating the soundtrack with those voicings. I picked up that book in 2010 and took my first trip down to New Orleans. And it was on those steps where I found myself at Norma's old brothel, like countless women before me. I was young, and I had not yet begun to process growing up in poverty, being a victim of domestic violence, and also in active addiction. And it was on that trip that I met the current owner of the house and the author of the book. And over my decade-long relationship with the both of them, I have exclusive access to not only the house, but also archival footage. I'm a storyteller. I'm a musician, and I have over 20 years of songwriting experience. And so telling a story through film has been not only completely natural for me, but also a revelation. I also understand what it's like to work in a male-dominated industry, much like Norma. The Center for the Study of Women in Television and Film at San Diego State University reported that in 1998, 9% of directors in the US were women. That rose to 13% in 2019. It is imperative that we see the world through the lens of a woman. Best-selling author and first teller of Norma's story, Chris Wiltz, had this to say: I chose Janelle to tell Norma's story in documentary film because she understands Norma's life motivations. Janelle understands that this is a story for history and for now, pertinent and contemporary. The estimated budget for the full-length feature is $250,000. Tonight, I'm asking for $10,000 to create the trailer, which I will then use to pitch for the full feature. This film has a very wide audience, and I also need relationships with distribution companies and production companies that specialize in documentary films, as well as streaming platforms. But most importantly, what I need is for my voice and my lens to lift up the stories of Norma and the women who worked for her, stripping away the shame and transforming it into the power and dignity that it deserves. Thank you.